Welcome, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon. Today, I'm going to share with you some free and low-cost resources that are available. And what I want you to remember is that while I'm going to be providing a lot of resources, you don't have to worry about writing them all down. All of these lists and links will be available at the end of the presentation, so that way you don't miss anything. I like to start with the most important information right up front. This is the best resource that I know of. It's the telework best practices from the federal government. This includes folks from DHS, NSA, and CISA. They provide these toolkits geared at three separate audiences: executive leaders, IT professionals, and teleworkers. Now, I'm sure over the past couple of years, everyone has had the experience of working remotely, and it doesn't look like that's going to change anytime soon. It doesn't matter if we're going into the office 3, 4, or even 5 days a week. A lot more work is being done outside of the office building. So the federal government put together this toolkit to make sure that everyone knows their role in helping to keep the critical infrastructure safe and secure by the work that they're doing. So I definitely recommend that you download and review the toolkit, the one that's appropriate for you, given your role in an organization. Next up, I want to share with you this expert roundtable readout coming from Google. This was done in 2020, but I think it's still relevant because it's a roundtable of experts in digital security and political campaigns who came together to have a frank discussion about the pros and the cons, those trade-offs that we all are a part of when trying to implement some of these cybersecurity measures. Now, as Cliff showed earlier, there are a number of products and resources that are available to help keep your organization and your network secure. The moat, the drawbridge, all of those protections. But the other side of that is people need to actually get their work done. So this discussion gives you the opportunity to see what it's like to go through that list and figure out what's best for your organization, where it's most important to help mitigate some of the risks, and ultimately recognize that you can't be 100% secure without impeding some of the work that needs to get done. CISA makes this list available specifically for campaigns. It's a checklist of the basics to make sure that everyone on the campaign knows just how important their role is in keeping that campaign secure. It provides information on things like two-factor authentication, making sure that applications are automatically updated, and having a plan to respond to cyber incidents if they occur. So it's a quick one-pager that's easy to read and is a good basis for a discussion about how to keep a campaign safe and secure online. The Election Assistance Commission put together an entire website just for election officials. This is election security preparedness at the operational level. It gets into how to perform self-assessments, what to consider when thinking about allowing for remote voting, and also what are some of the best practices that can be put into operation to help keep the administrative side of elections safe and secure. Now, this is also a great resource for anyone in the community or journalists who are interested in how elections are actually run. So much of the misinformation and disinformation is based on the fact that not too many people know what goes on in the actual operations of an election. So here's your chance to learn about it. NAS, the National Association of Secretaries of State, has a really interesting campaign. It's called Trusted Info 2022. It's designed to bring awareness to the fact that the state election officials are the best source of information when it comes to getting election information out to the public. Now, this hashtag isn't something that's new. It was actually started in 2020 with the Trusted Info 2020 campaign. And I definitely recommend that you find out who your state level elected official is and follow them on the social media platform of your choice to find out the information from the source. Now, this is where we get into campaign-specific products and services. Defending Digital Campaigns offers free cybersecurity assistance for House and Senate campaigns. This is nonpartisan and independent. Now, the best part about this is they've actually gone through the assessment and gotten an opinion from the FEC to make sure that it is not treated as in-kind donations. This means that House and Senate campaigns have a lot more flexibility in terms of being able to implement some of these products and services that are available at free or reduced cost. The Global Cyber Alliance is another example of the private sector coming together to offer some assistance. This is vendor agnostic and it's standards-based. These toolkits and resources are available not only for elections, but also for journalists. So in this example, a journalist would click on Start Here and go step by step to find out what resources are most appropriate for them in keeping them secure online. The Cyber Readiness Institute is multi-sector, it's a global partnership that provides free starter kits to small and medium-sized businesses. Now you might be thinking to yourself, why are you talking about small and medium-sized businesses? It's supposed to be about campaigns, right? Well, if you consider, campaigns are basically like a small business where you have a brief start and then a quick ramp up into operations and then it scales right back down. And really when it comes down to it, campaigns are about people. So these conversation starter guides are a great place to get campaign staff and other employees all on the same page and to get them bought into the idea that cybersecurity really begins with them. As Cliff mentioned before, phishing campaigns are one of the most effective ways of breaching cybersecurity defenses. So it makes sense that if you want to help prevent that kind of attack, you actually strengthen the people that are being targeted. Social media platforms are where a majority of the conversations are happening. And it's also a place where malicious actors are looking to influence that conversation. So many social media platforms have extra levels of protection. In this case, Facebook offers a program called Facebook Protect. It provides the highest level of protection available, and it requires extra level of security to make sure that the risks of having a Facebook account taken over and that person being impersonated are drastically reduced. Google offers a similar program called Advanced Protection Program. Again, it's their strongest security offering, and it not only covers their email services, but it also covers their cloud services as well. So things like having your files stored online. Now, this is something that's provided at no cost to activists, journalists, and executives and political campaigns. You should definitely look into it to see if you're eligible. Microsoft's program covers their Microsoft Office 365 suite of products. So if you're thinking about using Microsoft Word or using Microsoft email in your campaign, this would be a more appropriate program to look into for additional protections. TikTok. While it's typically used for entertainment, people are increasingly use it to have more discussions about what's going on in their community, and that includes politics and issues. So my recommendation is always be on the platform where that conversation is happening. Make sure that you're there, one, in your capacity as an election official, perhaps, to be that source of information, or two, if you're interested in seeing what the conversation actually is, you should go to the source. And sometimes that can even be on TikTok. Now I'm going to show you a great number of tools and resources by highlighting just one from each one of these next slides. And again, don't worry about writing it all down. We'll make sure you get that information at the end of the presentation. The Hamilton 2.0 dashboard is one that's unique in this space. It actually provides insight into how authoritarian regimes like Russia or China are using social media platforms like Twitter to help mold the conversation that's going on in democracies. So it's a great resource for journalists who are interested in seeing real time how those conversations are being molded and potentially how misinformation is being applied. Now, when it comes to news-related resources, I like to go to factcheck.org. Sometimes I read a story that just seems too good to be true. And I'll go to factcheck.org to find out whether there's actually a legitimate source of that information and if the claim itself is true or if it's false. So I recommend it. If it seems like you've come across a story that's being shared around by email or on social media, and you think it's too good to be true, double check it before passing it along. Now, when it comes to misinformation and disinformation, I can't say enough about CISA. They have put together these posters to help explain misinformation and disinformation to a general audience. It uses colorful graphics to help get across the notion that people are part of this process, whether it's recognizing the risk, investigating the issue, and thinking before they go ahead and circulate that story that, again, might seem too good to be true. I think this is a great resource, and I encourage everyone to go to CISA to find out about more resources that are specific to misinformation and disinformation. The federal government is all in on trying to make sure that our nation's critical infrastructure is safe and secure. Now, this includes cybersecurity as well. And one thing I will call your attention to specifically is this Department of Justice memo. It recognizes that there is a legitimate place for security researchers to help uncover some of these vulnerability in these critical infrastructure systems. So it's not just the malicious actors that are out there looking for ways to exploit vulnerabilities. There are actually folks with good intentions that are out there. And I think it's important to recognize that they do play a role in surfacing these vulnerabilities, disclosing them responsibly, and following up to make sure that they are patched. So that way it reduces the risk for everyone who uses those products and services. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and close out and leave you with this website for the Election Cybersecurity Initiative, where you can find all of this information and more. Thank you again for your time.